setting up. Just hang in. We'll get to the Astro Doodle. Just hang in, chat amongst yourselves. I'm right here. just hold that for a second here. Give me a second. I got one of these major aspects wrong. I can't rewrite the whole chart. Give me a second. I'm going to figure out how to apologize and get out of this. I know I've got some hard squares over here. And I know I've got the hard squares over here. But this trine should... See, it's this trine. That's where I screwed up. I knew it looked weird. So, forgive me, folks. I'm just going to scratch out. Forget that green line. I'm sorry. It actually looks more like this. Anyway, so it's a nice, big, fat, pretty strong T-square. So that's beneficial given the other super stressed factors. Let's see now. I'm going to go over here. Thank you for coming to visit. Hello, Path. Hello, West End. Hello, Tina. I will do the others first. No problem. So let me... oh my gosh. How am I going to do this? Okay, you know what? Let's just go check in with everybody. I wasn't going to do anything tonight. I'm not in the best of condition, but... You know what? The show must go on. It never stops with this freaking channel. A couple weeks ago, I just got released from 3 months of complete shutdowns and strikes, demonetization, channel videos deleted, lots of things being blocked, and Google writing to me saying, like, if you don't watch out, we're going to shut your channel down, and if you try to open up another channel to compensate, we know when you do that, and we'll shut that down as well. I don't know, it just never stops. I mean, I'm lucky to get 50 views on a video. I mean, it's harmless. Anyway, so I just got another warning tonight and more deletions. They're just digging through every piece of content that I seem to have, and they're just ripping out anything that they think is, like, goes against their belief system, their principles, their algorithms, their community guidelines. I understand. It's their company. They can do whatever they want. If they don't like me, why, you know, they don't like me. It's almost like it's a badge of honor right now. Some of the fellows that I really like Mark Moss and Neil McCoy Ward, they're borderline. They're huge. Their channels are huge. And there's also, of course, JP Sears. He's got millions, okay? But they're under threat as well. And also Alaska Prepper. He's constantly under threat. And all these people have exclaimed on their own channels, like, I don't know if my channel's going to be here anymore. I'm constantly under threat. So anyway, it's all very, very weird. To me, it's very, very surreal. They like to, maybe they just like to pick on the little guys. Okay, I'll stop my ranting for now. I just had to get that out there. It actually makes me feel really depressed sometimes, and I find it very hard to, like, lift myself out of it so I can get back into fighting mode, you know, and the show will go on. So anyway, tonight's show is monetized, so we can do the PayPal donations. Thank you very much already, Tina and West End. And if people want to start throwing in bucket loads of super chat, you're welcome. It's going to take, the problem is, I'm just going to explain these things for people who don't have YouTube channels. Unless I reach a certain threshold, they won't pay me. And a lot of times recently I've been borderline, so they just keep everything that my channel earns, and they just keep it and they don't pay me. So the way to cross the threshold is I have to do something spectacular. I don't know what that is. Maybe I will create some kind of, I don't know, a spectacle, and it'll go viral, or whatever that is. and it'll get lots of views, and then it'll cross the threshold, and then I can actually receive the revenue. But anyway, again, thank you. So for anyone who's watching out there, I know some people watch, but they don't log in, they don't go into the chat or anything, and then suddenly they dive in and go, hey, can I get a reading? And they've never been here before, they don't know what to do or how to do it, so I'm just going to do that very quickly. At the beginning of the video, here's what you do. You can either throw in a huge super chat. Some of you know the super chat button, it's down there, you just click it, little $sign, click that, and it puts out the payment processor. The other thing, of course, is go direct. Go to TarotLumination.com, hit the donate button. It brings up the processor. Swipe your card. Bingo. Money donated. Straight to TL. You don't even need a PayPal account. Okay? So, having explained that, let me go to the chart just briefly. I want to mention a few things, then come back here. Okay. All right. So the big fat T-square that's been lingering for months has basically started to fade away, and now we're just living with the damage, the collateral damage from months and months. And that big fat T-square, if you recall, it was pivoting over here between Pluto and Mars at the 0 degree points here, in hard square with all this Taurus energy here. And I predicted, months ago now, we'll be looking at seriously amplified warlike activity, behavior, violence, bombs, guns, all over the world. And of course, there you go. All I can say is, I told you so. There it is on the front pages. That's the beauty about astrology in some ways. Although I don't really do like predictions for individuals, I can give people themes and ideas of what kind of weather lies ahead for the individual if I do a private reading and so on. But I like to, my real interest is now with the outer planets. They call them the transpersonal planets, because it's very, very hard to understand these planets in terms of personal energy. It's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They are so far away, and the gravitational pull is so deep and so subtle you don't even know it's happening. But it is there big time, believe me. So, like, for example, you might have heard of Vedic astrology. It's very big in India, and it's a very, very old practice. And it's they don't really even bother with the outer planets. They just work on Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And of course, they can do a lot with that, because that's how ancient astrology was, let's say, presented for thousands of years. Because those are the visibles that you can actually see in the heavens. Anyway, today we now have live proof that there are planets that we can't see, but they are there, and that's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, out in the great beyond, and they have tremendous influence on the global scale. For example, the Pluto cycle, 250 years, directly correlated to what's happening in the United States right now. I've talked about it many, many times, and we are at a major, major crisis point here, because Pluto is hovering on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, which is highly, highly significant for the United States astrology in terms of the birth, growth, fullness, collapse, and let's say indulgence, and then decay and death. It's a whole cycle. Okay? And we've just lived through a whole cycle, and we're going to start it again. And that typically, for any planetary full cycle, can be very tumultuous. Especially for Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Most especially Pluto. As predicted, the world is convulsing. It's being ripped to shreds, just like the tectonic plates that happen on planet Earth. Everything is shifting in a highly predictable manner. And of course, people who don't like change, for example, the elites at the very top of global society, they do everything they can to restore and maintain their grip of power. When you think of Pluto, think of power. Okay? And we think of the 29 degree in Capricorn, we're thinking about it's in retrograde, it's about the most unhealthy expression of Pluto in Capricorn you can possibly imagine. Of course, there's a healthy expression. The beauty of it is that we're seeing all the really sick, disgusting stuff that goes on planet Earth at the very, very top of the elites of society, and how they actually run the show, and how they literally live very, very different lives to the rest of us, we the people. So there's about 8 billion people on Earth, and a couple of 100,000 of them, the elites. That's about it. So it's in classic Pluto fashion, it's a very, very, very extreme disparity. And they like it that way. And they want to keep it that way because they've already had a glimpse into the future. And the future is Pluto and Aquarius for the next 20 years, starting towards the middle and end of next year. And that is the energy of revolution. Okay? That is with the energy of we the people saying enough is enough is enough of the BS from all these unhealthy expressions of beautiful planetary energy by those frankly evil people at the very, very top, the very, very, very pinnacle. So things are going to get very volatile. They're already very volatile right now. It's very common to see the phrase World War III thrown about in global media, news, and so on. So get used to it, because it's going to drag on. It's going to amplify in 2025 dramatically, and before then it's going to get extremely unstable. So you might want to think of, let me go over here a second. You might want to think about, exploring some of those prepper channels on YouTube, because they can teach you a lot about how do you prepare for global chaos, financial chaos, upheaval, disruptions, so that you, the individual, how are you going to survive and navigate through these tumultuous times? Something to think about. Okay. Next, let's go over here with the Pisces vibes over in the 12th house part of the world. Okay, this section here. As predicted, things are going to get very, very, very painful, because this marks the exposure and the, let's just say, what is it? The energy of revealing, okay? Retrograde, Saturn retrograde in Pisces for now and for the next few months. Neptune is approaching the critical degrees. And for the last 13 years or so, we've seen right in our faces how sick and disturbed and diseased things are on planet Earth, especially with the human population. The humans are very, very good at amazing things, but they can also, for all that amazing, wonderful energy that they have, they can twist it around and become extremely perverse and evil. And that is being fully exposed. In other words, I would call it the evil that we're witnessing up here has a face, and it has accountability, and that's being shown up here. We're seeing it especially strongly in the United States, but it's actually a worldwide problem. The reason it's so critical for the United States is because the whole of the world economy pivots around the United States financial system. And of course, months ago we talked about that when we had the big fat Taurus Scorpio full moon eclipse, and we predicted right then it would be global financial chaos and upheaval as one global financial system is being eclipsed out of existence and replaced by a new global financial system that is being, let's say, put into place. And it's an extremely unstable and destabilizing process and experience for everybody. I want to go to a few notes here, just quick random things that stuck out with me, but there's lots more. I've lost track of how many of that I was going to try to mention. Okay, so I've noticed on the screen there a couple of notes from folks about their readings, and Love Triber is already jumping in there. It's fantastic. I love it when you guys assist and do, let's say, auxiliary, subsidiary readings on the side, where you can, let's say, here's TarotLumination providing a reading here, and then you get a tangential view from over here, or from over here. Sometimes Path chimes in, sometimes Love Triber chimes in, sometimes Necessary Truth is here, and she chimes in. It happens, okay? So, for example, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the stage. Give me a second. Sorry, we're over here. Cheers, everybody. I've got some iced tea. I'm trying to keep going here. This brand of iced tea has 31 milligrams of caffeine per 12 ounces. The other one, called Pure Leaf or something, it has 56. So it's too much caffeine for me. But this has a tiny amount, and I need it right now because I'm kind of desperate. Let's just admit it. All right? So, excuse me. Let me just comment on a few things. I'm hoping that I can really continue to stick here for the long term, because you know I love doing this. It's just that, like everybody, I'm going through changes in life. And I love my channel. I'm very proud of the channel and the history that we have together. I'm very sad and brokenhearted about some of the losses, but I'm also, I was born kind of a natural optimist, like almost to the extreme, and that's what keeps me going. Otherwise I would have given up long ago, because it is so painful to be constantly under the thumb of certain people very, very, very high up in the global food chain who just don't like me. That's it. Anyway, there's this fellow called John Kirby, and he's very, very high up in Washington on the ruling administration right now, and he represents, I think, something to do with the military. You know what? I wonder if I can find out. Anyway, his name is John Kirby, and he frequently appears on the podium at the White House press room, okay? And he answers questions about what's going on with, you know, the State Department, with the military, what's happening in China, what's happening in Europe, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Africa, Ukraine wars, all those things. And some of you might know that the appointed leader, the selected leader of the United States at the moment, is in deep, deep trouble, because just like we predicted, with Saturn in Pisces, especially retrograde, and Pluto in Capricorn retrograde on the cusp, a lot of the sickness and disease that we've talked about many, many times over the years is now fully exposed, fully identified. And of course, as you would expect, there are lots of people at the very top who don't like that. They don't want any of that exposed because it exposes them. And so, on the other hand, you've got to reveal it to heal it. And the United States is in desperate need of healing right now. And I believe we are on the very, very early stages of a trajectory for healing in the United States on a national scale. The damage is so bad that I think it's going to take the whole of the Aquarius season of 20 years to do it, okay? So, anyway, John Kirby, he was up there on the podium today, on a Sunday, or was it late Saturday? And some of the press, you know, the world global press and the big time press people who have special seats inside the press room at the White House. They were asking some very, very awkward, uncomfortable questions about the administration and the boss of that. And instead of having like a textbook answer all ready to go, the questions were so obvious and so blunt and so undeniably true to the rest of the world that he was unable to respond. He basically looked into the camera and went like this, like, well, I'd like to... It's all lies. I'm telling you, it's all lies. He's basically part of the big cover-up. Okay? The next thing is, you probably have heard of Karine Jean-Pierre. She is the White House press spokesperson, and she's coming unstuck as well. These journalists from all over the world of all calibers, hard left, hard right, middle of the road, mainstream, alternative, whatever. There's probably like 50 or 60 of these press people there who come every day, and they have to go through tremendous screening to get there, to get access to the White House. And so poor Karine, she has to sit there answering all these tough questions. And sometimes, again, as usual, they're starting to get so tough, so embarrassing, and so awkward, and so impossible to deny that all they can do is basically say, you're lying, it's a load of BS, it's not true, it's all lies. And anyway, someone else has already answered those questions for you. So basically, stop asking me those questions, because I've already told you who can answer them. So go talk to them. That's what she did. I tell you, things are getting very, very unstable right now. The closer and closer we get to the unraveling of the elites, and the very, very top of the elites, as you know, the big names, the Black Rocks, the WEF, the WHO, the UN, the Fed, CIA, FBI, DOJ, all of these acronyms, okay, they're all coming unglued because they're part of a massive, some people call it a uniparty. There's other words that you can use that are much more truthful, much more blunt, but are much more likely to get my little video knocked, okay? So I'm trying to be polite and yet get some truth across at the same time. There's even a channel like Redacted. They have 2 million subscribers. They're in trouble too. You know? It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. There's another world channel. They're fantastic with news. It's called Weon, and they're starting to get stuff that's being scratched. Oddly enough, there's some stuff that is permitted. Like, it was yesterday afternoon, there was a little video watch party here, and it was a documentary, I think late 2019 or 2020, and it was this expose about all the horrific stuff that goes on in movie stars, directors, writers, producers, actors, pop stars, and a whole pile of very, very sick, tragic, disturbing stuff regarding very young people. Apparently it's a $35 billion industry for those people at the very top who would like to indulge in those kinds of parties and exploitation. And apparently the whole of the United States airline industry is total revenue like $22 billion. So obviously it's a very, very lucrative business for some of the traffickers. I probably just said a word that I shouldn't. You've probably all seen the stuff on Ocean Gate. I don't know, I can't really add anymore. It's such a crackpot story. The whole idea of this little homemade submarine going down to the Titanic. And real live disclosure videos from the president, the designer of this company, that they operate this submersible using a PlayStation tool. And they made a whole bunch of the parts and components out of stuff you can buy from Home Depot and Lowe's and Camping World. It's no wonder the whole thing just went kaput. There's a lot of people who think that, something fishy going on here. A lot of conspiracy theorist types are connecting all sorts of dots. Some people are saying that the 5 bodies inside were never inside in the first place. They were all moved out very, very quickly. Maybe moved to another sub or something and then taken away. And they're all hanging out on a beach on a beautiful tropical island somewhere, getting their identities rebuilt and remade so that they can exit one life and begin a new life. In other words, they staged their own death. Wow. So there's that one. There's another crackpot story, which again, the pundits are finding very hard to believe, but it's happening in real time. And that's where this Wagner group over in Eastern Europe turned against the president of Russia like a what do they call it? Not a conspiracy, but anyway, there's a word for it when you decide to do a betrayal and you backtrack, you decide to go back to your rulers and take them out. And it didn't quite happen. So there's some very, very weird thing going on with the big war in Eastern Europe right now. It's very, very, very strange. China, of course, I like to talk about that. It's imploding more and more and more. I don't know what else to tell you. It's like, however bad it's here in the United States, it's a lot worse in China. Let's put it that way. We're talking about the financial stuff especially. Remember that China is born, let's call it the CCP, because that's what actually runs China. It's born with Pisces in the second house, okay? Second house of money, hard money, real money, wealth, value, values, beliefs, matter, physical matter, sky, earth, trees, water, fire, all the gold, silver, animals, rocks, all the physical matter of life and the wonders and beauties of this planet. There's, of course, an unhealthy expression because it also represents money, and we've been exposed to the unhealthy expression of money for the last few years, starting 2008 when Pluto was in 0 degrees Capricorn, of course. We know that already. And then January 2020 when the big Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction happened, and that was effectively the bomb that dropped. Of course, it's not a conventional bomb, it's a digital financial bomb. Anyway, the shock waves are still rippling here 3 years later. And the people who orchestrated all this, they're suffering badly because it's the law of unintended consequences. So this place, CHINA, is effectively imploding because they use debt. If you think the United States has problems with debt in the Federal Reserve, multiply that over and over again with China because they do it on steroids. And they have effectively bankrupted their own country, and they're continuing to bankrupt their own country. And it is imploding. Saturn entered Pisces a few months ago, and that's when I predicted exactly at that time, for the next 2.5 years, you're going to see a financial implosion as China basically starts to collapse on itself. And that's exactly what's happening. And of course, the more that happens, the more belligerent the exterior becomes. In other words, we're going to take she is going to take over the world. We're going to have everything. We're going to have all the land, all the gold, all the silver, and we're going to be the world currency and all of that. No. Sorry. It's not going to work out the way they think it is. And of course, Neptune is there as well. It's been very bad for the last 13 years from China, but they will never admit it because it's all an illusion. Think Neptune, think of the Pisces stuff. Anyway, so that's happening right now. I don't know how to I mean, there are so many elements of the Chinese economy that's just going, I don't know where to start. But just think of however bad things are here in the United States, whatever element you can think of, it's much worse in China. Things like unemployment, housing, interest rates, debt, credit cards, college loans, mortgages, car payments, all of that is imploding. So, that's not healthy for a country that wants to go to war and take over the rest of the planet. Back to the United States. I talked about it a bit already. Coming up in July, we're reaching a point of critical mass for the money stuff. And that's when the Fed Now is coming out, which is supposedly the little secret doorway that's going to open the gates to the CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, which of course is a tyrannical, evil form of financial slavery imposed on every human being on earth. All you have to do is go to the BIS website, Bank of International Settlements, go to the World Economic Forum, WEF, whatever it is, .org. It spells it all out. They're telling me exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. What's his name? Larry Fink at BlackRock openly declared that we're going to force this on people if we have to. And of course, they're realizing now they have to force this on people because the people are starting to wake up and realize we don't want this. It's evil. It's tyranny. It's slavery. It's imprisonment. Okay? So, it's going to be tricky because enough people on earth have figured out that they don't want this evil, tyrannical, top-down control thing from the banks and the governments and the elites. I already talked about all the hunter stuff and the sickness of the country and all that. Let's leave it. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for now. Let's get on with things over here. Let me go back for a moment. Cheers. I think this is called gold leaf. Anyway, even though I painted this with a lot of doom and gloom, right now at this very moment we do have a soothing sense of hope and optimism in relationships between ourselves and the rest of the world, and between the rest of the world and ourselves. We got this big, fat, green, grand trine. It's not going to be here for very long because it's pivoting around the moon, and the moon's going to be over here in a few days. But anyway, it's sweet and nice while it lasts. Meanwhile, we still have to deal with this extremely fierce T-square here. Again, very quick because it's based around the moon over here. But this big fat T-square is dealing with the very foundations of life, especially when it comes to the Cancerian energy. Think the United States. The United States is born with Sun in Cancer, Venus, Mercury, and what's the other one? Jupiter in Cancer. So the Cancer season is a very big deal for the United States, and of course there's the 4th of July coming up. But right now, as you can see with this big fat T-square, it's illustrating that as wonderful as things are in the United States in their own way, the reality is that this country is very, very sick, very, very diseased, and very fragile, and on the verge of imploding in its own way. At the very, very foundations, okay? Think of this at the singular degrees of Sun in Cancer over here. So for the next 30 days, please do not be surprised on mainstream news that we're going to see a lot of things that are, let's say, things that I would not be proud of if I was running the country. I don't know how else to put it without raising more red flags on my channel. Yeah, anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Alright. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Love Tribe. Or Grand Earth Trine, because if you put that as Mercury over here, which is very close to the Sun right now, then yes, you've got Capricorn. Oh, sorry, that's Earth. That's not. Okay, sorry, right over here. Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. So it is a big fat Grand Earth Trine, which gives us a nice, let's say, a few moments of respite. A few hours, a day or so, in a very grounding, wholesome way, which of course, once you're aware of how this stuff works, then you can ride that to your advantage, which is what I am doing right now. I am very, very aware of how fortunate I am in my own ways. I'm also aware of the things that are not so welcome. But anyway, we deal with it. Attitude of gratitude. I'm still a very lucky man. I think myself as a very wealthy man, a very happy man, a very blessed man. Okay? And that's by decree. Okay? I decree that. Alright, now I gotta go catch up with the where are we going here? I gotta do some readings, folks. Let me clear some space here. I'll keep this handy, because it's quite common that we reference the astrology when we do some readings. You know what? I got to put the markers away. All right, let's clear it up here, folks. All right, I'm going to put this over here. And first, we've got a couple of bookings. Is that correct? Let me I got to do some housekeeping here, so give me a second. I've got to go and find out what's going on so I can organize my readings with you guys. So just ignore the clicking sound in the background. Oh, okay. Now Tina wants me to wait, and Stan wants me to, let's see, okay, I'm just talking to myself right now, okay, so just bear with me while I sort myself out, just because I do this stuff live. If you do it, what do you call it, it's all pre-recorded, then it works differently. Got it, Tina. Thank you. You're very kind. Makes me really glad that I came on the show tonight. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you so much, West End. So let me get back to you guys so I can actually do this. Okay. Now, I've got to go back also. I have to read all the notes again from, let me just... Okay, West End. We're going to read West End first. And West End has some notes on the screen. We've already seen that, so I need to double check all of that so I know what the heck we're doing. And so over here. West End, that reminds me of when I lived in London many, many years ago in England. And the West End is considered to be the posh area, the posh neighborhoods, like Hyde Park and Notting Hill Gate, and I've forgotten all the posh places. Of course, other cities have their things called West End, but for me, West End is part of London. The West End. There's a song from the 80s called West End Girl. Because what would happen is, of course, that, excuse me, back in the old days of rock and roll and pop music, when I was one of the lads, and being basically single and interested in girls, what people would sometimes do, it's just one of these British things, and they talked about it in the song West End Girls. And it's about how because England has a very like stratified society, and in other words, people can recognize each other in their place in society from their neighborhood and their accent. Okay, it's very, very obvious in England. And so a lot of people try to change their accent so that they sound that they are more posh. That means more upper class. And so a lot of lads who were, let's say, further down the social ladder would like to go prowling around the West End, seeing if they can score with a girl from the West End. And that would be like a real trophy, a real badge of honor, like, whoa, she was awesome. Whoa, West End girls, yeah. West End girls, they're the best, if you can get them. Sorry, it sounds really rude, and I don't know if I should say these things, but anyway, that's what West End triggers in my brain. I think there's a West End in Chicago. There's a West Side over in Los Angeles. I lived there a long time. All right, let's have a look. I'm going to go check the notes here from West End. It says, if you're doing readings tonight, I'll go to your PayPal donate. Okay, we got that. Let me scroll down here. Scrolling through West End. I'd like to get a reading on my ex-boyfriend. Ex. He's a nice guy. We lived together for 3 years. I want to see why he doesn't want to get back together. Well, before I even go into the reading, I'm just going to say, West End, there's something I know, because I've done thousands of readings for people, okay, over, years. And a lot of times it's love and relationship, of course. I don't do so many of those now. More people want to know more about their finances, their health, their career, whatever it is. But, I've changed and other people change. But anyway, what I noticed is that there's something about the 3-year mark. I wonder if you guys can guess what it is, guys and gals. Any clues? Is anybody thinking of Saturn? I've noticed it in my own life, all sorts of relationships, where there seems to be, when you look back in hindsight, maybe years later or just recently later, or especially if there is a retrograde, like there is right now with Saturn, what you start to see is that, there's a pattern here, Saturn. And a lot of relationships I noticed have like a 2.5 to 3 year shelf life. The start, the middle, and the end. And sometimes towards the end it's painful, awkward, difficult, misunderstandings, bitterness, sadness, pain, heartache, suffering, confusion, whatever it is. Like, why did it end? Like, some people just walk out. Some people, I don't know, there's so many endless variations, but that's what I'm noticing is the Saturn cycle. So let's keep that in the back of our minds, okay, West End? So I'll go to that in just a second. I want to keep looking because I saw some more notes from you. Going over here a second. Okay, bear with me while I scroll through. Okay. All right. Well, I think we got our notes, so just let's do this. Okay. All right. Let's have a look. All right. So, I got to shuffle up, and then we're going to pull cards for West End. The question is why? Why is this happening the way it is? Lovers, relationships, all of that stuff. All right, let's have a look. Everything is upright. As you know, I don't do reversals. I'm not doing any oracles right now. Some of you probably remember the glory days of our 4-hour videos. We would do oracles, micro readings, mini readings, all sorts of stuff. 5, 6, 7, 8 readings a night. I can't do it anymore. Sorry. Look, West End boys, West End girls and East Town boys. Oh, that's probably part of the lyrics. I never thought of that. All right, let's have a look here. Hanging out with friends. Yep. It is very much like that for me. I know it sounds very strange because we live in this virtual world here, but I have made some amazing friendships here through this channel. So I'm very, very grateful. People come, people go, and I just try to hold the space here where people know that there's this little thing here where they can check in now and again. If you think of it as a, you know, how I used to like to think of it as a retreat. I used to make all those pictures. I still have some beautiful art pieces for all of that stuff, but I just haven't promoted any of it in a long time. And I think of it as a retreat, a hangout where people could come for love and healing. And that's really kind of what we do here. It's all about the love and the healing. Essentially how we all heal each other by choice. In other words, especially like when other visitors chime in and offer secondary perspectives on a reading that I didn't capture in my own reading. It's really helpful to the viewers and the people who want readings because it's like they're getting an extra bonus. Alright, let's have a look here. No. Alright, so as you know, I know reversals. I'm not doing any oracles tonight. However, I've just thought of something. Anyway, let me start with West End here. And we're going to come back to Ms. Miller in a little bit. We're going to use the good old situational spread from TarotLumination. Custom built, of course. So this is going to be like a diagnostics, okay, West End? And the concern is like, I don't know. I've got to be careful with my words here. I've got to be very careful, okay? Why he doesn't want to get back together again? Okay, so I'm gonna do a. You know how when people go to therapy classes and therapy sessions or whatever, it's all about the conversation and there's a lot of questions and talking and trying to tease things out so you can get some understanding through words. So you're asking like why he doesn't want to get together. Okay, well that's a reasonable concern, but let's diagnose to see if there's anything in the nature of the relationship that might offer an explanation. And there might be, let's say, aspects of the relationship dynamic that have never occurred to you specifically until this perhaps moment in time, because I believe that we're dealing very much with the energy of Saturn regarding the situation, and the Saturn is the great teacher. Sometimes learning lessons can be very uncomfortable or painful or slow or unwelcome, but ultimately when you make friends with Saturn, you become very, very grateful for having Saturn on your side, and you no longer get scared of Saturn. You no longer resent the influence of Saturn. You actually start to welcome it. You think it's almost like saying, you know what, come on Saturn, bring it on. I don't want to live on the unhealthy side of Saturn and all the pain and the suffering. Please bring to me that which is mine. Please take away from me that which is not mine, so I can see things and understand and feel things more clearly and learn my lessons so that I can get on with life and be happier. And it's like living light. Like once you've become friends with Saturn, it actually becomes very rewarding, very satisfying. All right, let's have a look here. What are the messages here? Diagnostics. Let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Because there always has to be a way forward, because we live in this continuum that we call time. Let's have a look. External influences, of course, I always 90% default to the planets. So we have the Fool card here. To me, this is almost like a, you know how some people call it like a get out of jail free card, or a, what's that? I think I just said it, like when you play old-fashioned Monopoly, it's like, oh, wow, I'm free. I'm completely free. So now, when I think of the energy of freedom here, I'm associating that directly, okay, for West End with you, in that, now please don't take offense at this, but you are released from the relationship. The relationship has released you. He has released you from the relationship. And if that was unexpected or unwanted, that potential gift of freedom could feel very uncomfortable, sad, painful, unwelcome, especially if you liked being together, especially if you liked being with him and having him in your life and living together for 3 years or so. Okay? And then to be dealing with the energy of freedom, it's almost like, well, wait a minute. And so I'm not going to pretend to speak for this gentleman, okay? But the energy of freedom here is very, very strong. And it's very important to understand the energy of freedom in the context of your relationship. Being released, even though you might prefer to have the actual relationship. I'm not going to predict any of this. Actually, you know what? I already kind of know what I'm going to say at the end of this, but I'm not going to say it till I get to the end. Okay, let's just see what happens, all right? Here's the situation itself. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords here. And the way I'm feeling this, because in some ways it's kind of like a whistleblower energy, and sometimes whistleblower energy is uncomfortable. And it sometimes involves words that are spoken, attitudes or belief systems, or communication systems that exist or existed in the relationship in such a way that when raw truth is exposed, of course it can be either very beautiful or neutral or sometimes quite painful. And for example, in the whistleblower interpretation of the Page of Swords here, a lot of times it's very beneficial for the people who really appreciate the whistleblower for calling out the truth and the reality of a situation, the hard mental facts, okay? But of course it's very uncomfortable for the person on whom the whistleblower is making the call. So it might be here, of course, okay, my feeling is here that somehow, some way or other, inside the home, because of, you were living together, there was some kind of truth and revelation that was brought to the surface, which could have perhaps been very pure, truthful, and neutral in its own energy, but it's a question of how you would have interpreted, like, oh, I didn't really want to hear what was just said. Like, for example, things may have been said or spoken that you might not have expected, and yet they were spoken and communicated anyway. And it either would have, for example, outed him as being, let's say, out of alignment with the relationship, or outed you about being out of alignment with relationship with him as far as his perspective is concerned. I'm trying to call it on both sides right now because I'm not, intimately involved. So I'm saying that perhaps the reality is right now is that it's probably the best thing that the truth is being told and exposed. I don't know what that is, but he might have expressed things like, this isn't working for me anymore, and I'm sorry, I gotta go. Or you might have said things that were perfectly innocent in your own, let's say, way of expression, but he might have interpreted that as you being a whistleblower on him for something that he doesn't want to acknowledge. And so either way, it's very awkward and very uncomfortable, and it could have been the catalyst for an ending. Let's have a look. What's the problems here, of course? Oh. So we got the Nine of Swords here. Obviously, this is causing you a lot of anxiety. Probably a lot more anxiety than you're willing to admit to yourself or to anybody here tonight. But it's obviously... Let's just say, for example, you cherished this relationship, this person, and having this person living with you living with this person, and the person has parted ways, moved out, and to me it almost makes me feel as though you're stuck blaming yourself. Like, what did I say? Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Are my attitudes wrong? Are my belief systems wrong? Are my habits unacceptable? Am I too emotional? Am I too clingy? Am I too detached? Am I too reserved? Or I don't know I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And the thing is, all these 9 swords might actually represent 9 very specific items in the dynamics of the relationship that actually have very specific words, the way I just described a bunch of 9 random things. And in a painful situation, especially if the ending is painful and you really didn't want it to end, but it's ended anyway, or he's gone anyway, and it doesn't look, he's not showing signs of coming back, and then it leaves you in this position, and then you get left with, like, I don't want to know, like, it's almost like it's too painful to actually figure out and define anything and everything that was wrong. But it might be, okay, I think I'm just going to have to spill it out. Like, Saturn, let's just say Saturn is involved here in terms of the astrology, and it's bringing a lesson. Sometimes there's all sorts of relationships, okay, West End? Because I've done, again, a lot of readings over the years. Some relationships are all based on, convenience. Oh, he's got a lot of money, so that's fine. But if he loses all his money, I'm gone, I'm out of there. Or vice versa. Some guys marry rich girls, and if she discovers that the guy's a gigolo, then she dumps him, and he kind of goes, well, I got caught. And so on and so on. Some relationships are all built around tradition, faith, and family, and the idea of having children and creating a home. Some relationships are purely carnal, that it's just based on lust from one to the other. And some relationships are based on, I guess you could call it like a learning experience, a learning relationship, where this gentleman might have learned a lot from you, and you learned a lot from the other. But of course, obviously, with the energy of lessons, that often infers Saturn, and sometimes the lessons get very painful. But on the other hand, they are very valuable lessons. So it might be that we're exposing the nature of the relationship may not be as was originally intended or expected or understood or assumed. And instead, the relationship turned out to be a classic Saturn 3-year relationship, which ends up with a lot of painful lessons. Now let's have a look. How do we go forward here? Okay, So we've got the Wheel of Fortune, and I think this is almost like leapfrogging directly from the Fool card here, which translates to me as complete liberation and freedom. And what this is doing is allowing you to look at your world almost and starting from scratch. It's almost like, I don't want to tell you that it's over for good, but if I'm seeing classic hallmarks of a Saturn type dynamic in the relationship, then it's typically a learning lesson where person A comes together with person B. They live through the time period associated with Saturn. There's good times and bad sides, good times and bad times, and both sides come out with lessons learned that you can take with you to the next chapter in your life, in your world. And what I'm seeing over here with the Wheel of Fortune is that this freedom, I don't want to force this impression on you, because you might have a lot of preconceptions about what and why and how this is all happening. But if we take the theme here that it might be that you've been granted a gift of being free. In other words, you don't have to ponder this situation anymore, even though it might be very painful for you in understanding and not having any full explanations. But in the end, the relationship, it's all about you and the other and you. And if you don't have the mirror of relationship anymore to rely on for reflection, the only person you can turn to is yourself, and figuring out, well, maybe I'll just do an evaluation on myself. What am I at fault? Did I do anything wrong? What did I do wrong? And just be very brutal and honest and truthful with yourself. Well, maybe I was this, or maybe I was that, or maybe I should have done this, or maybe I shouldn't have done that, and oh well, at least I know better now. And instead of just repeating this over and over to yourself, actually treat it as very, very valuable learning experience, in which case the freedom and the release from the relationship leaves you wide open to any option, any possibility you can possibly imagine. So to me it feels like let's just start from scratch again, and let's not overlay any kind of expectations about what it's like to go forward. It might be very exciting and fun to hold on to being without this relationship, or without any relationship for a while, just to get yourself reoriented and live through this process, the learning process, and coming out the other side, okay? And then realizing that this is actually an amazing gift, an amazing opportunity, and even if you never ever see each other again, you can actually, deep down in your heart, be grateful that this was actually an incredible learning experience, and just hope that he got something out of it as well. Because even though it looks like a lot of pain now, it looks to me like down the road, it's very liberating, and you get to look at the world from a whole new kaleidoscope of adventure and possibility and options, perhaps that you had never considered before. For example, all these lessons here might make you feel like, well, I know exactly what I'm not going to do again. I'm not going to do this or that or that or that. And then go from there. See it all as a brand new big adventure where don't tie yourself down to any kind of expectations. Go out there, have fun, be wild, be you. I would literally recommend just having fun, being single, and exploring the world of love and relationships without necessarily looking for a certain specific outcome. Just kind of go for it and enjoy the spirit of the moment. That's the reading. That's what I'm getting for you. I hope this helps you, okay, West End? I've got to shuffle up here. You know what? I'm going to put on a little tune. I'm a little bit, my throat is very raw, so I am going to get a little refreshment and top up. And I'm going to shuffle up the cards and get ready for Tina's reading, okay? Let's have a look here, folks. Hey, Precious, I just saw your name pop up on the chat. Welcome, good evening. Please, could you type in the screen, tell us how it's going with your daughter and the surgery, the heart surgery and all that? I'm very curious because that was a very, I think that was last weekend, wasn't it? Wow. All right, give me a second, Tina. I'll be right there. Okay, some of you might have been here last Sunday, but if I recall... oh, no. Oh, Precious, my God. I don't know how you deal with it. So, you lost one of your fur babies after everything else. What's happening with the daughter and the heart surgery? Could you just give us a tiny hint on the screen, okay? It was 2.5 weeks ago. Oh, okay. Oh, was it? Okay, anyway, I might be misunderstanding. So, let me go over here to the stage for a moment. We have quite a lot of history with the people here tonight. Some of you know Precious Moments. She's up here in Edmonton in Canada, way up in the oil shale fields. We're way up here. It gets extremely cold. Extremely cold. Let's see if I got it over here. There's Calgary, there's Saskatoon, there's Regina. So Edmonton is off of this map. But anyway, Tina already knows how cold it gets up in Montana. So imagine going even way farther up in Edmonton, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, was it a peaceful ending for your fur baby friend? That's your fellow, your USA home. That's your fellow up here in Maine, isn't it? Or is it New Hampshire? I can't remember. But you've got this thing going on with your gentleman friend, I think way up here. Let me see if the map will hold it. Give me a second. I don't want to make you dizzy. No, it's not working. I'm sorry. The cameras and the lights are just not picking it up. There you go. So up there, Maine, way up there. I think that's what I think of as your USA home. TLC my note. Oh, okay. Oh, sure, okay. All right. Okay, so it's up in New Hampshire. Okay, so your fellow's up there. You're way over here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. The good thing, of course, is that your daughter is okay and coming home soon. That sounds great. Thank you, Tina. Wow, you're so kind. What do they call that? Pay it forward here? I've seen some of those stories recently. I can't remember the details, but I know I've had 2 pay it forward stories in the last few days. Okay, so Precious, you got yourself a mini reading. There we go. That's over here. That's your magic post-it notes. I'll just put aside for a moment. Just want to share a little quickie story. I've just remembered it. So I did have a pay it forward moment a couple of days ago. I had to stop off at AutoZone and I put a quart of oil in the engine of the car. And everything was routine, and I was just putting the oil cap back on the where you fill it up, and I got slightly distracted and the cap fell and it dropped into the engine compartment way at the bottom, and it got stuck with the steering mechanism and the suspension, and I could see it from looking in from the top, but I couldn't get it. So I went out to the back of the vehicle and pulled out like one of those bar things, you know, for twisting tires or whatever. And I tried to jiggle it and juggle it, and I couldn't do it. And this fellow was right next to me, I guess, in his truck, watching the whole story unfold. And he came over and said, "Is there anything I can do?" And I went, "I feel stupid because I just dropped the oil-filled cap." And he said, "Oh yeah, I know." And I said, "It's down there." And he went in and looked. He said, "Oh yeah, I see it. I'll get it, no problem." So he actually went underneath the car and stuck his hand up in all the grease and the slime and the bits of metal for the suspension and the steering. He jiggled it around and it fell out, and he delivered it. And he said, "There you go." And I said, "Thank you so much. I wish I could offer you a 6-pack of beer or something." And he said, "No problem. It's okay. You're fine. Have a good night. Have a good evening." And then I looked at him. I said, "Have you ever seen a movie called Pay It Forward with Kevin Spacey?" And he went, "Actually, yeah, I have. Late 80s, early 90s. And it's that kind of thing." And I told him, "Listen, okay, I can't give you a beer right now, but I'm going to make sure I do something nice for somebody soon, okay?" So, I'm halfway there. Okay, I've got some water. I'm just going to make do with water, okay? I like having my iced tea, but right now the best thing is just plain water. I don't know why my voice is so weak. I think it might be something with the humidity. It's only like 6 or 7% humidity here. And it kind of dries out everything in my lungs and sinuses and throat, and all of that in the nose and everything. All right, Tina. So you just got back from working on the fence and the dogs are testing it for sure. Let's have a look. I didn't see any notes for you. Oh, wait a minute. There is a note. Oh, I gotta go. Let me close. Let me... give me a moment here. Okay. Doopy-doo. All right, okay, so I got your note. Okay, I understand what that means now. All right. So, Tina, let's have a look. Let's see what's going on here. We'll use the good old-fashioned TarotLumination situational spread. I've joked about it many times. It's like they have the situation room up in the White House. That's when things get very tricky, and the boss calls it out and says, I want everybody in the situation room. Get to the situation room right now. We need to talk. And that's where they talk in top secret. And of course, as you know, TarotLumination has a direct line to do the Zoom meetings so that the leaders, whoever they are, doesn't matter what party, they at least get a good reading from TarotLumination. I'm joking. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. So obviously things are moving on, Tina. You've got some fencing going up. I know it's a huge operation you've got going there. I think it's 5 acres. You got to do all the surveying. You got to get some water sorted out, like a plumbing for a well or something, and a septic tank. All those things. Probably got to put in electricity and internet cable as well. Who knows? Okay. Oh. Okay. On the house. Okay, let's have a look. Of course, the house, obviously. All right, let's have a look, see what's going on. Okay, so we've got the King of Cups here. It's energy. Right now, I'm not seeing this as a guy or a person. I'm seeing it as an energy field. I'm seeing this very closely associated with the Grand Earth Trine at the moment, which is, to me, it's like a, let's just think of it as a big fat warm hug from the universe. Just a momentary thing, like we all need that now and again. Just a random hug out of nowhere. And if you could think of this, Tina, as the same thing, this is like you're getting a short-lived random hug regarding the Earth. Okay, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Very, very comforting in terms of, you know, like sometimes you get a lot of pentacles and things like that. And it's, to me, the way I see it is that, okay, again, I'm going back to Saturn because you see, the fencing is at the house, no fencing at the cabin. Okay, so I guess you're putting a boundary or whatever. So the house is on hold, of course, waiting for the survey, obviously, yeah. So the thing is, again, I'm sensing that whole Saturn thing, because Saturn can really make it feel as though things are being slowed down, or there's, oh my God, there's another problem, then another one, then another one, and another one, and another, blah, 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 blah. And the Saturn vibe, okay, well, let's just say the Pisces 12th house vibe is extremely strong right now at the moment, and it can make it very, very, very frustrating for the home. Okay, you see here, Cancer, the home, and the Virgo Pisces opposition here, Moon Neptune opposition here, and Saturn is involved because it's in the 12th house as well. So my feeling is that what we're looking at is that even though it might be slow and painful and tedious having to deal with all these processes, you're actually blessed. there are people or energies or energy fields out there. This is not an angel card or anything. I'm not doing oracles, but it makes me feel as though in some way, form or another, you are strongly guided and strongly protected. And it's actually very hard to do that. And to maintain like emotional equilibrium and strength and integrity when things can be in fact extremely challenging. For example, you've been dealing with this transition for almost a year now, and you're still in the cabin going through the surveillance and all of those things to get things sorted out, but you're doing it properly. So again, I'm sensing the Saturn influence. But again, with this massive King of Cups energy here, to me it's like sending a message like this is actually working in your favor. In other words, doing things by the book, slowly, properly, not rushing to any conclusion, not having some kind of emotional breakdown or emotional ecstatic joy that this, oh, I want this, I'm going to do this and that, and you can actually end up creating chaos. And people do that. They end up creating chaos in their world because they become emotionally unstable. They can't handle things. You know, it's like somebody who wins the lottery and they're just a normal person doing their life, and all of a sudden they have all this money, but they're not programmed or learned or aware of how to handle large amounts of money, and it creates massive upheaval and distortions in their emotional body, and they start behaving in ways that can be very detrimental to their long-term outcome. And what I think here with the King of Cups is that you're actually protected by like emotional stability. Let's say the big trine creates tremendous stability, earthly grounded stability in your heart. So I think this is very good for you. Let's have a look. Situation itself. Okay, so it might make you feel as though, damn, I wish I could just get on with it, because you probably don't want to just keep living in the cabin forever. I remember a few months ago, whenever it was, and you showed us life in the cabin, and it was, you know, okay, it's a dwelling and it's a living space, but to be honest, I could see why you want to get on with building your home and getting the plans and talking with the contractors and getting things out there, so you don't have to live in this situation, which you might be interpreting it as personally very uncomfortable and having to almost feel like, oh, I'm borderline homeless. Oh, no. But don't forget, those 5 beautiful pentacles are still there. Very solid, very, very valuable, okay? It's just that you might be feeling as though, you know, nature has cast you out of all the wonders of being this homeowner, home builder. Remember a while back, Tina, I think we talked about it, how I think it was something to do with the 6 of Cups. If I recall, we had a 6 of Cups for you in a previous reading a few months ago, weeks or whatever. And I got this strong feeling that you had already been very well versed as being like I guess you could call it a home builder, a homesteader. That's what I was saying. A homesteader in previous past lives. And that in this lifetime right now, you are actually, there's got to be at least one character, perhaps 2 or 3, maybe even 4 more characters that are going to appear in this journey forward with you, that are actually reincarnations of past life relationships where you were a homesteader alongside other people who were involved in a pioneering homesteading type of community, perhaps deep in ancient Europe or early America or somewhere else in the world. And so I think that energy still, I felt it very strongly on that last reading. But the point I'm trying to get to is that, like, in the short term, it's just like, damn, I wish we could just freaking get on with it, you know? You've got the money sorted out. You've got the plans. You've got everything you need to get done what has to be done. It's just that the relationships and the speed at which the relationships are happening in terms of this particular lifetime with this particular homestead seem to be just grinding along at the pace of Saturn. Classic Saturn, okay? So let's not worry too much. Let's just see what the challenges might be while we're at it. Okay, well, I think like this, well, let's not worry too much, because I think deep down you know that the bigger picture is all about how the way things really work is when you infuse a project with love. You infuse a project with love and healing, just like what this whole channel is about. In other words, it's love is as love does, okay? Pentacles are very much about physical material reality. And with this cups here, my feeling is that for you, you might be feeling like, oh my God, are all these relationships that I need, are they all really, truly pure and as wholesome and valuable as I really need for this thing to work out properly the way that I have been used to? Because I have a feeling in past lives you enjoyed some very good mutually beneficial relationships with people in the homesteading period. All right. Oh gosh, we're getting more reading. Oh, sorry, I had caught a glimpse of the screen. So you might be feeling a little bit tender inside, like a little bit fragile, because it makes me feel like you might be feeling like you're still very much on your own here, because it's still the very early stages of the build. I mean, you don't even have contractors on site yet. You're just doing the surveillance and getting that all plotted out. You got to do permits and get all the utilities lined up before you can actually get into the construction. And so with the little Two of Cups, it makes me feel as though like you might be like quivering a little bit, like, oh God, I hope I picked the right people. I hope they are as willing to infuse this project with as much love as I am, because it really needs to be a mutually beneficial relationship, because that's what I'm used to, that's what I like, that's what I love, that's what I already know works. I already know it from the past. The way it really, really works is when you've got people who are doing this project and they're actually emotionally like bonded to it in terms of like a loving relationship. Like say every piece of wood, or each contractor is in there and they're actually infusing love into the project. In other words, when they're doing the drywall or the insulation or the foundation or the painting or the interiors or whatever it is, they're not just doing it to get a paycheck, get out of here, get home and have a beer or whatever. They're doing it because they are loving and they are loved. So it feels to me that the energy, like there's a pulse here. There's a real live pulse, and it's happening right now. But again, like in the very early stages, like giving birth, like it's almost like you're giving birth to something here, and it's at the embryonic stage, so it's very fragile. You don't really have a lot of big, hard, obvious manifestations, Saturn style, to give you that big affirmation that everything's great and you can see the end in sight already. We're not there yet. So how are we going to deal with this moving forward? Okay, to me it looks very much about maintaining your own integrity. Okay, Tina, it's very strong, because it takes someone like yourself with a very strong, let's say, will, a very strong will to live, a very strong spirit, a very strong energy. There's very few people, to be honest, who can actually go out there and homestead. I mean, a lot of people would love to, but to actually do it, that's for most people, that's way beyond their imagination or their capacity. They wouldn't even dare. But you're doing it. And because you have that powerful energy naturally built inside you, and because you're dealing with what I consider Saturn degree type frustrations, it might make you feel as though like, damn, I wish I could just get on with it the way it needs to be done. I gotta build my castle. That's my home. I already got the plans laid out. Let's just get on with it. And then deep in spirit, with all the King of Cups and the little Two of Cups and everything, it's just like, oh God, I have to keep myself in check. Okay. All right. I can do it. Because you're not just, I'm not talking about just the strength here in the three-dimensional world. It also requires tremendous strength and spirit in the invisible world, the world of heaven, angels, spirit, emotions, feelings, thoughts, principles, beliefs. You've got all that, and it's just a question of finding the balance and keeping things in check, because we would all love to see this like happen right now. Click. Anyway, to me this looks good. It's just frustrating, and it means having to stay on top of the frustration. Okay. All right, Tina, thank you so much. Precious, you're up. Let's move along over here. I got to check the chat because the chat has got pretty lively. Hold on, give me a second. No fencing at the cabin. The house is on hold, waiting on the survey. Yes, West End Teal. Can I pay for another reading about my business? Elizabeth Boucher. Can I get a reading, please? Oh my God. Okay. Gregory, if you're going to ask for a reading, please, I'd rather work maybe privately later in the week if possible, if you're okay with that, because it looks like I'm going to be doing another 2 readings tonight. I'm okay with it. I think I can handle it. West End, yeah, go ahead. Elizabeth, go ahead. You know what to do. I'll just do a quick show and tell again over here. You just go to TarotLumination.com, click the donate button, swipe a card, and you're done. That's it. Kaboom. All right. So, give me a chance here. I got to shuffle up and get ready to read for Precious. So let's do that. Let's just start with the music. Alrighty, I think we're ready to go. Let's see, you know what, actually, hold on. What I want to do is, because we got 3 more readings, okay? We got Precious, Elizabeth, and then West End for number 2 reading. So what I'd like to do is, you give me a second here, I'm going to have to get a refill on my iced tea, if you're okay with that, folks. So give me a second and chat amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. Yeah, I'm good, Weston. Thank you very much. I guess I should double check, but all right, Precious. I just want to check in with you. Let's have a look over here. Hi, Precious. I have to tell you, you must have like some sort of like extra super layer of guardian angels around you, because some of the stuff that you've had to deal with over the years that we've been working together, it's crushing. But somehow or other you find some kind of way to put a smile on things, even if you go through a period where you're just falling apart, just completely overwhelmed with SHIT of all kinds, housing, health, money, kids, pets, love, relationships, travel, legal, work, career. I mean, it's just, you've covered pretty much almost all 12 slices of the astrological pizza pie or apple pie or whatever it is. Oh, man. So somewhere inside of you, there is a massive resilience. I call it the will to live, Oh, hold on. I see some more notes. Okay, Weston. Okay. All right. So we'll come back to that. Okay, West End. Okay. Oh, you're very kind, West End. Actually, I could probably do that, because I've got to read for Precious and I have to read for Elizabeth. And it actually, sometimes I actually really enjoy doing, because when I do those, the way you're talking about it, West End, I go into the studio, everything's super, super quiet and safe and dreamy, and it's all because I'm not worried about doing a show. Okay, like tonight, some people would just call this, well, it's entertainment or tarotainment. It's actually very serious what we do here in general, and but doing a pre-recorded reading, there's nothing else going on. It's just me and the reading and you. That's it. Oh, how can I get my email to you? Well, I've got one idea to get started. Let me do this. What you could do, probably the simplest thing right now that I'm thinking of, is that you could write to me. Okay, this is my email. Okay, you could just write an email there and I will get it, and then I will store the email address and then get back to you that way. Because when I work with private clients, I do everything through email. Clients and files that are shipped through Zoom and all of that light. Okay. So this is the email address for me. Okay, West End. It sounds like this: a little book about @yahoo.com. ALITTLEBOOKABOUT. A little book about @yahoo.com. Okay, so if you can remember that, or just put it on a note somewhere and then send me an email, I'll get it and then I'll get back to you. So we're hooked up. Okay, no problems. Sounds good. All right, so Precious, cards are pretty well shuffled already, but I'm going to do a little bit more for my own peace of mind. And actually, you know what, West End, I am going to take you up on your offer. Okay? So that's what we'll do. So tonight we're going to read for Precious, and then we're going to read for Elizabeth. And I do have a third reading here still from what's left. I haven't done this many readings in a row for a long time, so I really appreciate your offer, West End. And I will do this privately. It will be recorded and sent to you. And I've got some notes here about the business, so I will make a note of that as well, okay? Okay, now let's have a look here. I see your notes there, West End. 10-4. No problem. 10-4. Oh, look at that one from Precious. Sag, Sag, Sag. And I've died 3 times and come back already. Well, that's got to be a world record. And you still have a lot of life in you. You're a young mom with 3 young kids. And you've got a gentleman over in New Hampshire. So there's obviously still a significant journey ahead of you. You know, if you've died 3 times and come back, and you are also a professional caregiver and nurse, you already know a lot about death and the body and the health and everything. So to actually die 3 times and come back, you know that's kind of a big deal, right? Yeah, you're only 43. You're just barely at the halfway mark. You got a long way to go. Now, let me just check some. So, you know what, Precious? If you don't mind, I'll just do a reading. I don't have to worry about anything particular. You've got so much on your plate. You know, you've got the... Well, we talked about it already. You've got your gentleman over in New Hampshire. You've got your daughter just coming out of surgery soon. Well, the surgery went okay by the sound of it, and she's going to be there for a little bit longer. You just lost a furry friend. It's very sad. And here we are. We keep going. It's pretty awesome. So you have a lot that you could teach people. And of course, love is as love does. And so, you know, even though it might feel very strange that you've had so much, let's say, I don't know what to call them, challenges? No, it's worse than that. You've had so many almost catastrophes, okay? And you just keep going. You must have some very powerful guardian angels. That's what I'm sensing. It's got to be. And for that to happen, you must have earned it. Previous lifetimes, okay? Yeah, we're just going to do a blind reading. Thank you, precious. All right, so what kind of messages do we have here for precious moments tonight? I got to say, folks, that having so we, you know, I guess in showbiz or movies or TV, they call it a format. We have a format here with TarotLumination, and I think the Sunday night live shows have been the most enduring aspect of the format. In the glory days, when I was just kind of like a YouTube-aholic, and I was doing 40, 50, 60 hours a week on the channel, and 40 to 50 videos a month, that was a whole different world. And now it's almost like everything is distilled down to this little once a week thing that we do, plus a few glimpses during the week if I come up with something. There are many, many times during the week when I would love to post something like a little nugget and special, but sometimes just finding the time and the energy can be tricky, so I never quite get there. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I just wanted to share that. But I'm kind of glad we have a certain format. And I like what works. I don't want to mess with what works. And one of the things that I've noticed, it's probably been pointed out to me many times, is that some of us have known each other for years. And we have created a kind of a virtual support system. And I don't know about you, but I have benefited tremendously from your kindness and your generosity over the years. It's helped me to really expand my awareness, my experience, and my whole life. So I'm very grateful, and I just would like to keep it going. And I'm very glad that we're away from the strikes now, but just today I got another warning. And I just want to say the warning was going back to what they call, I don't know if I should say it, but it's to do with some voting events that happened in very early 2021. And it's still a very, very controversial issue in the American and the world media today. So, anyway, they're watching me. I'm under surveillance basically all the time now. It's very creepy. It's not necessary. I don't hurt people. I just call out things as they are, as I feel them and sense them. And a lot of the times I like to feel that it's true. This problem is some people don't like truth. Anyway. All right, precious, let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. We're going to do totally blind. Thank you. Thank you, West End, for doing a pay it forward moment for precious. She certainly deserves it. That is for sure. Cards are already well shuffled, but I'm going again to the very last second so that you are a witness in real time that we do this right up to the moment. Okay? Let's bless this deck, bless every single card, bless the cameras, the lights, the viewers, the channel, the algorithm, all the multiple softwares running simultaneously, the blessed computer that is still holding together, the microphones, the wires, the cables, the internet, the platform, YouTube, and all of that stuff that allows us to do this. Okay, here we go. Actually, I want to do it again. Give me a second. I like to have the deck absolutely pristine. That means a lot of shuffling, but that's okay. Here we go. All right, what kind of messages do we have here for Precious tonight? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges, and here's how we're going to deal with it. Let's have a look at external influences. I may default to the astrology, I may not. Okay? Oh, okay. Oh, God. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing, I just caught a glimpse of some notes there. I'll have to come back to that in a moment. Let me have a look. King of Pentacles. Okay, I think this very strongly relates to the very fleeting, momentary, grand Earth trine that we talked about earlier. And we allocated that to someone else earlier in the show tonight, but I'll illustrate it again right here. This is what I'm talking about. We don't get these too often. Big, fat trine right on the cusps, okay? Almost here, but definitely here, here. In other words, Virgo. Actually, the moon's probably already in Libra by now, but it's basically the Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus energy. It's very soothing, comforting, stabilizing energy, especially when it comes to matters of this earth. Money, finance, stability, the sense of things maybe aren't as bad as they could have or have been. And let's just do a kind of a reminder. Okay, this might not make sense to you, Precious, when I do this, but I think it will once you just, ponder it for a moment. The way I feel this King of Pentacles here is to remember, it's like a reminder that you have very powerful people behind you somewhere. Guardians, or whatever you want to call them, your invisible friends. And they are there for you. And they are almost trying to remind you that it's all. I wish the thing would come into focus. Oh, look at that. Okay? So, the King of Pentacles represents like the master of matter, the master of physical matter, understanding how things work on this earth in the three-dimensional plane. In other words, things like construction, money, finance, gold, silver, mining, earth things like nature, farming, plants, animals, and all the good, wholesome things that come from that when it comes as a result of good stewardship. When I say stewardship, I'm talking about the energy of being extremely good managerial type of energy that it comes through a lot of time, a lot of experience, perhaps many lifetimes, and this is out there and it's around you, and you might not feel this right now, okay? So that's maybe why it's coming up in the reading, but for you, Precious, what I'm sensing is that the King of Pentacles is here to remind you that despite the mind-boggling challenges that you've had to deal with, if you want to look at it in a certain way, it's an indication that in your own way, you are very blessed, you are very wealthy, in that you do have physical. You have certain aspects. I mean, you've come through some incredibly difficult physical challenges, the physical aspects of life, like, pets, the children, the house, the law, the money, the jobs, all that. And you're still here, you're still going in your own way. I don't know how you do it, but you do. And this is a reminder to you, precious, that you are actually, in your own way, very blessed. I like to say it for myself. I'm a very lucky man. I'm a very wealthy man. I'm a very happy man. I'm a very blessed man. And I say that by decree, okay? So it's almost like you could translate that to yourself. Like, I'm a very lucky woman. I'm a very wealthy woman. I'm a very happy woman. I'm a very blessed woman. And just say that over and over again, at least once a day. And it starts to, brainwash yourself into an actual physical reality. And you start to understand that despite your challenges, there is a certain wealth and abundance that you have, or that you must have, that gives you so much strength and endurance and physical stamina and stability to keep going the way you do. Anyway, let's keep going. What's the situation here? Oh, we had this earlier in the same position. 5 of Pentacles. So again, to me this is like a reminder. Don't forget, precious, even if things feel very barren right now, very stark, and you might have had over the last, 9 months, almost a whole year, I think, since that whole real estate. It's probably longer than a year, maybe even 2 years. It's been a very long, slow, painful journey of relationships, and just trying to get through every single day with yourself and your loved ones. But this is a very quiet, peaceful reminder that all is not lost. This is a chapter. This is a season, an episode in life, okay? And you've still got all this in the bank. Now, it might not be hard cash or gold bars, but it is some kind of form of abundance, worldly value, strength, abundance that translates into something solid and real that's good for you, and it's still there. It's right there for you. So don't forget that, okay? Now, what's the situation, or what are the challenges going forward? Okay, so with the Page of Cups here, the way I've been describing things with these pentacles here, it's very much to do with like physical matter, physical reality, and we talked about that big grand Earth trine, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. And when I see this, and the way the readings have been going tonight, I'm going to see if I can put this into words that make sense. So it's like, it's precious. It's almost like you're extremely aware of the hardship and challenges that you've endured. You're extremely aware of how they came upon you and how you've lived through them and how you are still living through them. And this makes me feel like at nighttime, or when you have a few moments to yourself, and when you can, just relax every now and again, if you ever get a free moment, where you're sometimes scared that, wow, am I just in a particular lifetime where I'm specifically being very heavily challenged because I still have so much to learn about the whole phenomenon about love is as love does? ? Because there's love, and all sorts of people have all sorts of interpretations, but in this particular reading, I'm interpreting love as matter, physical matter. Love is as love does. It translates into outcomes. And love is love in action. And action means getting things done and doing things. And so some of the experiences that you've had in your lifetime already are so challenging that it might be some kind of deeply bedded theme that you were born with in this lifetime, that there are certain things that you still need to learn about the essence of love and what it really means, and that it's really about love is as love does, and it isn't all about, having sweet romance and marrying a multimillionaire and going down, on cruise ships every month and having the best food and jewelry and clothes. It's much more about love is as love does, which can often only be understood and expressed during times of extreme challenge and hardship, when sometimes being loving is very, very hard to do, and it taxes you to the extreme. And then you realize, oh, now I understand what love is. Love is as love does. In other words, all the energy and time and resources that you've had to gather and muster and dispense in order to keep your life, your shelter, your children going, pets going, relationships going, hope going, all of it. And you realize it is all about the action, the physical, measurable actions. Love is as love does. And it might be a very painful lesson, like, oh my God, now I see what you're talking about, TL. What is this thing called love? Well, you're definitely learning. All right, let's have a look here. How are we going to deal with all of this going forward? Please don't take offense, precious, but to me it makes me feel, well, it's about time. Okay? In other words, it's almost like this is the lifetime that you might have been avoiding or trying to put off for some while, because you might have known before you incarnated that this was possibly going to be a challenging lifetime. Like, some people are blessed, they have like so much fun and joy and adventure, but in your situation there's a lot of challenges. Okay, let's just be honest. And if we look at it from the Saturn perspective, Saturn in Pisces is putting tremendous pressure on people to learn and understand the true nature of love, universal love. And in this case, it's love is as love does, and it's lessons well learned, and it's about time, and then it becomes truth, fact, knowledge, information. You don't have to fact check it. It becomes verified. Okay, you are now, the way to go forward is understand that if you look at it, your life as a process of lessons being learned, they are being learned and you're being verified. Come on, little camera. There you go. Look at that. And the thing about truth is that it might be painful, but it also is very liberating. The truth will set you free. And there is some amazing freedom. I mean, it might sound really strange, precious, but given what you've been dealing with, what you've dealt with obviously for a long time, and where you're going, there's tremendous learning experiences that you're having on this adventure of life. And with all that Sag energy, yes, it is an adventure, okay? And coming to the learning and the understanding of truth, maybe you, in previous lifetimes, you were a little innocent about what constitutes love and truth, and now you're really coming to terms with it big time. Come on, little camera. And it comes out as stark, beautiful clarity, perfection, clarity. Wow, now I understand the big picture. Think of all that amazing Sagittarius energy coming into full understanding and wisdom of the big picture, as opposed to the minute details of the crippling aspects of the life that you've had to live. All right, I need another sip. That's your reading, precious. I hope that helped you. I hope that helps you see and experience and understand and view your life from a larger perspective than before you had the reading. Thank you, West End. God, I'm getting a little... My voice isn't going to last. Hold on, I got to check the notes. Somebody said they want... Hey, Indigo. Indigo, I'm already overextended a little bit. I've got another reading for, I think it's Elizabeth. Yes, Elizabeth tonight. And West End graciously bought herself a second reading, and because she understands that I'm actually kind of at my limit this evening, she offered to accept her reading in private later in the week, and I will do a little separate recording and send it to her by email. So I'm going to extend that to you, okay, Indigo? If you want a reading, I will give you one, but I really can't handle it tonight. I've got Elizabeth to read for, and after that I really can't handle anything more. I'm so grateful and blessed that we've had so many bookings tonight. It's really helping me tremendously. You have no idea how much it helps. But again, let's stretch it out over the week. So look at it this way, okay, Indigo? West End's getting another reading, but it's going to be in the week. It's bought and paid for tonight, okay? If you want one, and it doesn't have to be tonight, I will create a magic post-it note for you, and I will record it and send it to you later in the week, okay? You've got my email here. I know we've worked together before, but here it is again. alittlebookabout@yahoo.com. You can let me know on the screen, or you can contact me by email. Let me know if you want to book it, pay it, do the PayPal and all of that. Okay. It's up to you. We're going to read now for Elizabeth. Cheers. Thanks, everybody. Hello, Mr. Ha! That's Mr. Longoria. Long time no see. Are you in Ohio or Arkansas? How's business? I know you do a lot of work for your mom. Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, man. Like I said earlier, Elizabeth, I've developed and enjoyed some really valuable relationships that have been built up here over the years, and you're one of them, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. Alright, so we're going to shuffle it up here, and then we're going to read for Elizabeth. Greetings, Jeffrey. I can't do a reading for you. And Indigo, I can't do a reading for you tonight. I'm very grateful that you're asking. Well, Jeffrey didn't ask, but anyway. So I gave you an idea of what's possible, Indigo. Okay, so I'll leave it up to you. It's totally up to you. And if you want to do it, just do it through the PayPal. You know, I'll just remind you in case you forgot. Let me do a very, very quick reminder. You go to TarotLumination.com. You do the donate page. You do the donate button. The payment processor comes up. You swipe a card and you're done. Okie dokie. All right. Let me just shuffle up a little bit more. We've got to do a fair bit of shuffling here. Sorry, I don't do jumpers, flyers. I'm going to just shovel these in here randomly. Alright, Elizabeth, if you don't mind, I will do a blind reading for you. It opens us up to the maximum opportunity. Oh, look who just arrived. Oh, look at who just arrived. I don't know if he's going to stay or what. Hello, Mr. Bubba. There's really not a lot going on up here for you tonight. You know, I'm sorry. We can hang out later. Don't worry, Mr. Bubba. He's very curious about what's going on here. He's very, very curious. He doesn't like doing anything. He does. He likes to do a lot of things, but he loves to be kind of in the center. He likes to be where the action is. See, there's his little paw. He's right there. He's on stage. I wonder if we can say hello. Let me introduce him. Bubba, are you here? Can you hang out with it? No, it's not going to work. Anyway, so I am going to go back to the stage. I've got to... Okay, Bubba's having a little sip of water. So I'm going to just keep shuffling for a minute, and then I'm going to airlift him. Oh my gosh, let me share a little tiny story today while Bubba's here. I'm just getting reminded of a beautiful story. I'll share it while I still have a voice. And let's have a look. What I've been doing for the last couple of months, actually, it's kind of started with the Taurus and Scorpio eclipse thing. I knew a lot of big changes were going to happen to me in my life. And a lot of them were very stressful and very painful for me on a personal level. But that's no one's business but mine. And I just figured out, well, I have to deal with this somehow. And since I've been living here, I've had a lot of encounters with tragic animal situations, and I realized that I can't fix and cure all of that stuff, and I did lots of multiple little ceremonial burials and things, and I recently went over to the, what do they call it, the pound, animal rescue, animal shelter thing. In some ways it was very beautiful, but it was also very heartbreaking as well. Some very loving creatures are there, and chances of them having a home, a lot of them were, let's say, dogs that tend to get they can get very violent very easily, and it's difficult to find homes for those dogs. And there's cats as well. So instead of focusing on all the pain, I decided I'm going to start watching YouTube rescue videos. So it involves a lot of pain and suffering for animals, but also there is a rejoicing, because it's like a rescue story. Like it could be a damaged bird, or a hippopotamus, or a horse, or a giraffe, or a bird, or whatever. And hello, Esther. FYI, Esther, I can't do any more readings tonight. I've got one more reading I'm going to do for Elizabeth, and after that. But if you want to book a reading, a private one, of course, I'm happy to do that. Anyway, I deliberately watch little animal videos now, because they really open up the heart energy, and it keeps it open, and understanding that love is very real. Love is as love does, and it's a very, very powerful force, and it exists by choice. It's by deliberately opening that center here and allowing the healing power of love to fill your mind, body, heart, and soul from above, and then you can share that outwards, so you can be loving. And when you are loving, you are loved. It's a very, very simple formula. Be loving, be loved. But the important thing first is to invoke the healing power of love and own it inside of you first. Anyway, so there is this little cat video. I stumbled on it. And the reason I liked it is because I've had a few cats, and I'm a caretaker of several cats now. And there was one cat that I had who was very, I trained several cats to be very adventurous. And little Bubba here has a very active mind. He's always very alert. He likes to know what's going on here and there and everywhere. And occasionally he likes to stick his nose towards the door so he can sniff the outside. But he's not really an outdoor cat. But I've been pretty crazy with some of the cats I've had in the past. And there's this guy on YouTube, and he put out this video where he has this special box on the front of his electric bicycle, and it's tricked out for his adventure cat, because he has a cat who loves outdoor adventures. And, you know, in the summer, in the winter, in the rain, in the snow, whatever it is, they go on adventures. And the one I saw today was where they ended up deep in a forest, and there was snow and little streams everywhere. And the guy opened up the lid of the box, and the cat sort of goes wow, wow, and jumps out into the snow and starts running around and having fun in the snow and up through the leaves and into the trees, and it's exciting. And this time the fellow put a little cam, like a little GoPro, miniature GoPro cam on a little collar. And so there was some live footage of the little cat running through the snow and the stream and the leaves and the trees. It was very exciting. I just thought I would share that. Anyway. All right, Elizabeth, let's see what's going on here. Again, Elizabeth, you're one of these people who's had an outstandingly challenging life. In some ways, it's just like, if anybody really knew what you have lived through, they would ask, like, how on earth did you survive? How on earth do you survive? And Elizabeth, you are one of these people that when things get really, really bad, you seem to find a way to dig deep, deep, deep inside, and you get a little tiny nugget of optimism. Somehow or other you find it. Again, I call it the will to live, and whoosh, you become rejuvenated yet again. And it's very cyclical for you. I know that. And sometimes the hard parts are just dealing with the ups and the downs and the ups and the downs. And wouldn't it be nice if things were a little bit more, gentle? But, it takes a very, very strong soul to handle what you handle. Okay? All right, let's see what's going on. I know you're very allergic to cats, Elizabeth. Otherwise, you'd probably have a cat, and you'd probably be an excellent, awesome cat mother. No matter. All right, let's see what's going on. What kind of messages do we have in store here tonight for Elizabeth? I love doing these readings because I have absolutely no idea what's going to come up until it comes up. And that's part of the fun. All right, let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to handle things. Let's have a look. The external energy has been kind of all over the place tonight. Referrals to the planets, of course, but some other things as well. Let's have a look here. We've got the Queen of Swords. Okay, this is very fierce energy. And my feeling is that it's something that, it's like a reminder again. Let me go to the chart, see if I can find, because we're dealing with the Gemini stuff. Sagittarius things over here. Truth, knowledge. Fierce, fierce, fierce. Yeah, there it is. Mercury and Gemini. Sun in Cancer. See, I screwed up. This doesn't count as part of the big. That is the big Earth trine. Okay, very, very big, fat, grand Earth trine. But Mercury is still in Gemini over here, and that can be. Mercury in Gemini is in it's at its hometown. It's in its natural territory, and sometimes it can be almost overstimulating, where like you're having too many thoughts, too much thinking, too much mental cerebral activity, and some of it's very, very good to know and very, very beneficial, but some of it can also be very scary, because Mercury is kind of very pure and simple. It's about communication of truth, and when the energy of Mercury is perverted and the energy of communication is used as a means to deceive, then you can get this very, very harsh energy over here. So how can I explain that? So see that? Okay, there's Sun in Cancer, Neptune in Pisces over here. So that's actually a triangle. I really screwed up on the chart. So Mercury in Gemini, that red line there should also go over here to Mercury, because that's a hard square between Neptune and Mercury. And when I see the Queen of Pentacles here, and I'm thinking of that hard square, Neptune in Pisces to Mercury in Gemini, to me it makes me feel that it's very, very important to understand the power of words, because you are a writer. I don't think everybody here knows it, but you are a writer, and you are in the middle of your new book. You've already written a couple of screenplays. But anyway, with the Queen of Swords energy here, it's a reminder that you are a master of the written word, okay? Or a mistress. Oh, I just think of, when you do a master's degree, it doesn't matter whether you're a male or female, boy or a girl. You are a master of the written word. In fact, also the spoken word. And it's almost like it's very, very painful for you, because you have this very high level of integrity. It's very, very painful for you when things that are untrue are perpetrated on you, like the way people have lied or deceived or betrayed you in the past. It's very, very painful, and it's a reminder here that you are always vulnerable to that possibility, and that it's very, very important that you maintain and keep your very, very high levels of integrity regarding truth, the written word and the spoken word. Nobody can take that from you unless you give it away. Okay? So just remember that. You're very powerful, very strong, very gifted with the spoken word and the written word. All right? It's just a reminder. But it's coming through a very hard astrological aspect. But that's how you learn. All right, let's have a look at the situation. 9 of Pentacles. Oh, this is beautiful for you, Elizabeth. To me, it makes me feel like, again, this is a little bit of a reminder. Just please maybe step back. If you have a full-length mirror in your house, or you're going around somewhere, if you go somewhere posh or expensive, if you can afford a day trip on the bus somewhere, and you go up to Beverly Hills, or go to somewhere that's very beautiful that you maybe have never been before, you know what I'm going to suggest, Elizabeth? This is going to sound crazy, but I've got a crazy idea here. To me, when I see the 9 of Pentacles here along with this Queen of Swords, and the way the reading is coming out to me, it's about, do not forget who you are at the very, very core. That you, in your own way, you're actually very wealthy, very gifted, very blessed. We could say it again. You're a very lucky woman. You're a very wealthy woman. You're a very happy woman. You're a very blessed woman. You can actually brainwash yourself to that level by just constantly repeating it to the point where it's like, it's just a mantra. Okay? And I had this idea. Okay, hear me out. The Nine of Pentacles, and it's a feminine energy there in the card, to me it's a reminder that in your own way you are very independent, very wealthy, very lucky, and very blessed. And you are very good at generating your own happiness. Because I know what you're like when you're happy. You are deliriously happy and joyful when you're happy. And so, hear me out. How about a reminder so that you know it and feel it, and you can connect with other people who have expressed their own joy and happiness through the world of creative self-expression, kind of like you are. So how about a trip to Museum of Modern Art, or that amazing museum on the corner of, is it Wilshire and Beverly? How about a visit? And this would be a day trip, okay? Because it's a bus ride to get out there, a bus ride to get back. A day trip to a beautiful art gallery, okay? Also, how about a day trip to the Getty Center? Okay, it's a huge project, but you can figure it out. There's a way to get the bus all the way up to the Getty Center. Bring a bottle of water with you. It'll be a nice day. And just walk around and enjoy the amazing environment of other people who have already lived their lives and put it on canvas or on words. And to remind yourself that you're one of them. You need to see it. You need to see it right in front of your face, okay? It's quite an amazing feeling to go up right up close to a world masterpiece and see it. Okay? I'm not telling you to do that. It just came to me. I do know that you like to go out on adventures now and again. All right, here we go. Now, what's the problems here? Let's have a look, all right? Okay, don't be scared, okay? This is not a cups card, but a lot of people see this as pain. It might be simply like this feels like it's very, very much in the moment right now, because like the way I've been talking about this reading and everything, and this is, to me, this is very, very good energy. And what we're seeing here, the story that I've been telling about you and for you, okay? However, because you are prone to these extreme oscillations, happy, sad, it feels to me like this reading has brought up the reminder that every now and again you experience extreme pain. The pain of betrayal, when all you ever did was offer love, companionship, yourself, your true, normal, ordinary, wonderful self, and then it gets exploited, betrayed, abused, especially from long, long ago. And it's like the wound that never heals. Okay? Everybody has this somewhere in their chart. Let's associate this with Chiron, for example. I don't have your chart in front of me, but anyway. To me, this feels like, oh God, the worst thing that could ever happen is that you get reminded of the wound that never heals. And it's not your fault. It just hurts. It can just be one flash moment of a reminder. And then you go like, oh, and then all of a sudden, oh, I was having such a great day, and then I just had a flashback. Ah, sucks. However, all I'm suggesting is that if you continue to saturate yourself with very good energy and deliberately put yourself in places that are, to me, very inspiring, like the Getty Center, some of those amazing galleries in Los Angeles, it's really, really uplifting, and it makes it much easier to deal with the non-healing wounds of life, okay? So how are we going to deal with this going forward? I've already made my suggestions, but let's have a look. Okay, I just heard some very loud messages here, okay, Elizabeth? It's just, again, it's a reminder that you can't take it with you. It's very important to live in the moment, understand that at some points in time you are at a point of desperation where you are literally receiving tremendous benefits from external sources of all kinds. Okay? We've worked together in private before, so you understand what I understand, and I understand what, you know, we don't have to go into any details here, but you are the beneficiary of some amazing resources, but you've also been very kind in sharing your energy with other people, with myself, for example, okay? But at the end of the day, it all balances out, and so there's no point in hoarding in the way that I wish I could have more and more and more and more of the good stuff, because you've already got the good stuff. It's just that it's tainted by this. But this does not control your life, okay? In the end, what it's about going forward is understanding that it is about a gentle balance. And because you're so prone to the extremes, whoa, ups and downs, happy, sad, feeling very dejected, poor, lost, deeply in need, and then the next minute you're very kind and generous with your time and your stories and your humor. But in the end, it all, I don't want to sound like the end of the world here, but in the end, you can't take any of that stuff with you. The only thing you can take with you is the love that you shared. And so it's all about giving and receiving. Let's go back to the words, love is as love does. So you're very lucky to be the beneficiary of loving action from certain, entities, but you're also a very loving person in your own way, and your way of balancing that out is sharing your gift with the world. And I believe that over time that will manifest, the giving and the receiving. And when you see it like this, you realize oh, well, it's perfectly natural. The ebb and flow of life, where one minute you're receiving, the next minute you're giving, it all balances out in the end. You don't want to be permanently trying to hoard, and you certainly don't want to be giving away all your energy all the time. Both of those are very unhealthy. The important thing is to stay very harmonious and balanced in the ebb and flow, to get to the point where you almost can't tell whether you are receiving or giving. And it just balances out, and you take it all in your stride. And the more you go in that direction, the way I've described, the less and less and less painful this is. And it starts to recede and just become, in its place. You can put this in its place where it does not dominate your life the way it has done in the past, okay? Thank you, Elizabeth. I hope you got something out of that reading. So I think what I'm going to do here is wrap it up pretty quickly for myself, but because of the extreme delay on the transmission now, it's much, much more extended. I'm going to just play some music for you, and I can check from here when the actual transmission has ended, and then I can shut it down here, because they're two very, very different endpoints, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure to read for all of you. Have a blessed week ahead. I'll see what I can about the other readings. I know I've got to do West End. We'll see what happens about Indigo. Anyway, we'll check up on that. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to wrap out here. And I hardly ever play this song, but I'm going to do it now just for fun. It's called Chasing Rainbows. It's, I wrote this to be like a song that would be sung by like an old English church choir, with a little bit of classic church organ in the background and a very large choir with harmony lines. So you'll hear it. It's just me and a guitar right now, but if you could use your imagination and imagine you're singing it in a church. Okay? It's called Chasing Rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing your rainbows. Let's see what happens here.
Sun's rays shine upon me. Clouds are shifting, storms are clearing. Step out from your shadow and listen to the voices that you are hearing. There's a pot of gold standing there below. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. Watch the raindrops glitter. See the 7 colors shimmer. Walk out from your shadows and listen to the voices that you are hearing. There's a pot of gold standing there below. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. May the spirits shine upon you in return for what you've given, and light the world around you, and cast the rays of hope that make it worth living. There's a pot of gold standing there below. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing your rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing your rainbows.
Okay, I'm going to play another song called Through the Ether. It's how love travels through time and space.
Through the ether. our seas and our forests, with all of our stones, exploring one another, pushing our boundaries like new lovers. And you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me. And you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay. That you're holding my hand all the way. Our innocence is becoming so apparent in our magnificence at the same time too. And with your permissions and our shared ambitions, we get the chance to discover our own truths. And you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me. And you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay. That you're holding my hand all the way. That you're holding my hand all the way. Holding my hand all the way, holding my hand all the way.
Okay, well, I've just noticed that folks have just... Oh, hold on a second. Heather Mocha, good evening. Oh, gosh, I missed you. Mona, over there in Norway, greetings, good evening. Esther, okay. We did a reading last week, didn't we? Don't worry about it. We'll connect again soon. Yeah. Thank you all, everybody, for showing up again. I'm going to play another song, and that'll be it for tonight, okay? Sorry I couldn't read for all of you. I love doing it. I'm going to play Taste Your Dreams. The song speaks for itself. Think of it as white reggae. I'm a white guy, but imagine reggae music.
Okay. If you wish for a simple miracle, if you wish, you can have one right away. All you need is some faith, is the will. Ask for it, and it will come to you today. Hey, hey, I want you to be oh so happy. I want you to be your higher self. Yeah, I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way. Yeah. Na da 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 da, na da 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 da. La da 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 da, da 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 da. And if you wish to be in a state of grace, ask for it, and it will meet you face to face. And if you wish, if you dare to dream, you will find that it's easier than it seems. Hey, hey, I want you to be oh so happy. I want you to be your higher self. Yeah, I want you to live da 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 dum da ba da da dum la da 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 la da 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 oh la da 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 oh yeah, I want you to be so happy. Yeah, I want you to be your higher self. Yeah, yeah, I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way. Taste your dreams this way. Taste your dreams today.
All right, that's it. Cheerio. Good night, everybody. It's been wonderful. Take care.